Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and a warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. My name is Nick Philpott and I'm your host this evening. I'll shortly be joined, as you can see, by some of the real motley crew. We couldn't get the professionals in tonight, so we got that lot instead. It doesn't really matter. We'll still have a really good show. I'll introduce you to them all in a moment. Coming up in tonight's show, we'll be covering Palace's early third-round exit from this year's FA Cup. Got some news from in and around the club, including yet another COVID breach, and there is some live up-to-date information on that subject coming up during the course of the show. And of course, we're going to have some questions from the audience. Before we start, can I thank you for joining us? And let's give other Palace fans a chance to join us as well by you hitting your share button right now and create your very own watch party for every Palace fan on your page. So do it now for me, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, I can see you all out there. Lee, Ian Appley, Lee Lockwood, James Convey, Mike, I can see you there. Great chatting to you today, buddy. Rob Donovan, Mark Easton, and each and every one of you, wherever you're watching in the world, thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us this lot. Starting off with Jel Holyoke. How are you feeling, mate? Nice to have you back. You all right?
Yeah, feel a lot better, thank you. Yeah, good to be back.
Good to have you there. Ian Noble, how are you, mate?
Evening, Nick. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, my friend. All good.
Thank you once again for giving up your Sunday evening. And Linesy, after your long drive, thank you for coming back on again. You right, mate?
I've not driven back from anywhere. I don't know what you're talking about. It's been a busy week. Just to explain what Nick is talking about, before lockdown, I was down on the south coast and I got caught up in it, but I managed to get back. So, yeah, I'm very tired, but, yeah, it's good to see you all.
And another special hello to Quentin Solden, who contacted the show this week. Quentin, if you're watching this, I can't see you out there, but if you are, thank you for your great comments about the show. We really appreciate it and welcome along. And don't forget, you can find us on Twitter, YouTube at any time to either watch, listen, or download to this or any other of our podcasts, or simply ask your Alexa to play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast, or go to redandbluereview.co.uk. Guys, let's have a conversation. We've got lots to talk about. I want to do if it's okay with you, I've got some news from in and around the club, but we're going to kick off shortly with reference to the Eze breach of COVID thing, if you don't mind. And we'll do the Wolves game in a little bit, if that's okay with you. First of all, a big happy birthday, happy 34th birthday to our stopper, keeper Vincente Guaita. Happy birthday, mate! If you get this message on behalf of everybody at Red and Blue Review, happy 34th to you.
If you're listening,
if you're listening, happy birthday. Secondly, we have a new signing at the club, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you're aware of this. In our ladies' team, welcome to Kirsty Barton, who joins our ladies' team from that other lot down on the south coast for the rest of the season. Apparently, she is one hell of a prospect. So
From
welcome.
Bournemouth.
From Bournemouth, along a little bit from there. Welcome, Kirsty, if you are watching. And a bit of sad news for you, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know. Most of you won't remember the name, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Bobby Kellard. Bobby Kellard meaning to any of you guys?
Absolutely. I remember him. He was skipper, wasn't he, as well?
Bobby Kellard, who played for us over two spells, making 123 appearances for us in the 60s and 70s, has sadly passed away. God rest your soul. Fly high, Mr. Eagle, fly high. And some really good news. Okay, Selhurst Park is to be used as an NHS vaccination centre. Crystal Palace Football Club is donating Selhurst Park to the NHS to be used as a vaccination centre in the fight against coronavirus. The stadium will become one of London's largest vaccination venues when it opens up later this month, playing a pivotal role in administering the vaccine to vulnerable groups alongside GP surgeries and primary care networks. Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish has said, "We are proud to be playing our part in helping the NHS deliver the vaccine to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. Selhurst Park sits in the heart of our community, and we are delighted to put our stadium at the disposal of the NHS." So for all the negative things, we are always quick to criticise, but most importantly, and all the positive things, we are quick to praise. So well done, Parish, and well done, everybody connected with Crystal Palace for opening it up. I understand, and all jokes aside, I understand possibly the Amex Stadium is also going to be opened up to the people on the South Coast. So all good stuff. Lots of people out there. Oh, look at you. There's over 50 out there already. Boys, where should we start? Anybody want to make a start on the Abrici Eze?
Well, let's talk about
debacle?
Why don't you phrase it? Why don't you give the rundown as to what actually happened, Nicholas?
and then tell us what the club said.
Okay, right. So, Eze appears to have breached the coronavirus protocol during a visit to QPR. He paid his former club a visit on Saturday in a move which will not go down well with his current side, Crystal Palace. The winger, who joined Palace from Rangers for £20 million in the summer, sat in the director's box at Loftus Road as the Hoops played Fulham in the FA Cup behind closed doors. Palace boss Roy Hodgson had made it clear earlier in the week that his players that no further breaches of government coronavirus guidelines will be accepted after the captain Luka Milivojevic's breaches on New Year's Eve. Milivojevic issued an apology on Wednesday after a household mix with Fulham forward Mitrovic and his family. It's understood that Eze was a guest. Now, listen to this paragraph, guys, because this is pivotal to what we are about to talk about. It is understood that Eze was a guest of QPR with the visit by the FA, approved by the FA, subject to social distancing protocols. Well, I have much more updated information, ladies and gentlemen. And Ian, have you got it? Have you got that stuff that I sent you to hand?
Or me?
Ian Lyons, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
On my phone, I have.
Okay, don't worry, I've got it here. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am about to read to you some stuff that's come out very recently in the last hour. Okay, that some of the guys that I'm talking to may not be aware of it. This has been taken from The Athletic. This is not from the club, but from I know, Jel, I know you think, but it's relevant to this subject, so it's important. So it basically covers everything I've just told you, okay? What could the punishment be? They're saying it's early doors in the process and there'll be no indication of what the punishment could be. What have Crystal Palace said about it, as I've just told you? But more importantly, it doesn't appear that there is any approval from the FA.
Look, Nick.
We've got their speculation on our programme.
What they are saying is because there is no approval from the FA, that the FA will be investigating. That throws a completely different light on everything that we were going to talk about if it is true. Okay, Ian Lyons, I'll kick with you, and then Joel, coming to you.
Right, who's saying he hasn't got FA approval? Because in the article in the Independent, I saw that he did have FA approval. What I would say is, look, as a podcast, we always like to be fair, and and we'll treat everything. If the team deserve credit, they'll get credit. If the team deserve, going over, then we'll give them a going over. In this particular case, I think it's different from Luca's for a start, mainly because Luca was in a confined space with someone from a team that has got proven COVID cases. If we've clearly got a paradox where, got a conflict in stories with regards to one party saying that he didn't have FA approval, and another party who I'd probably rely on a little bit more, saying that he does. But nevertheless, let's just say, for argument's sake, he did have FA approval. What the hell are the FA doing approving it? It's just ridiculous.
Well,
and I know that people think that the Palace fans. I know there's some conjecture out there saying, well, the Palace fans won't go after Eze like they went after Luca. If he's found to have broken any rules, then he'll get it both barrels from me. That's for certain, and I'm sure you guys will get involved. But nevertheless, if the FA have got involved and allegedly given him approval, then I'm sorry, but the FA will have something to answer for.
Agreed.
Nick, let me come in, because within the last hour, Sky Sports News have tweeted this. Now, if Sky Sports News tweets something, generally they're right on the sporting front. Would you agree?
I can.
Okay. So Sky Sports News have tweeted within the last hour Eze's visit to his former club QPR on Saturday for their FA Cup third round tie against Fulham is being investigated by the Football Association.
That's exactly what I said.
So they can't have had FA approval. Why would they have approved him anyway? Look, he basically, I was horrified when I saw this on Twitter yesterday. I think he's stupid. I think his mates have said, come, they've said, yeah, we'll get you in. It's just madness. He's stupid and he should be punished if he's breached COVID rules, which I think he has.
Would you also, sorry, before Joe jumps in, would you also, what role did the QPR director play in this then, if he's the one that allegedly invited him?
Well, they should be punished as well.
Okay, Jel, this is, forget FA because they don't run the country, although they think they do. This is, from what I can see, a clear breach of government guidelines. Your thoughts, please.
I was absolutely stunned. And if this is, see, the thing is, the last time we spoke about this kind of breach was our own captain, and I was called for him. I was calling for him, and I'm going to have to, people have tried to have little bits of dig without having grabbed a pair of balls and coming out straight at me on Twitter, because they've obviously watched what we did last time. But this is it. I called for Milivojevic, who's not a stranger to breaking rules of our club, to be stripped of the captaincy, to be chucked in here into the under 23s, the A23, which would be unfortunate.
When they're building a bridge. And then sold. Now, if I don't say the same, now I need to hear everything about this Eze thing, because it is a slightly different situation. He is in a apparently COVID-free, but the thing is, there's a few things here. Firstly, he can't, like our club pays wages, so the FA can't just say anybody in football cannot sanction his movement above the government. And the first port of call would be our club. Our club would then obviously have to go to government, because it's a government guideline. But it's not a government guideline, it's a government law.
It's law, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And then we would go to the FA and say, because everyone goes mad on Twitter or whatever, and say, we were given permission by blah blah blah. And I'm pretty sure that, and I hate to say this because he's the brightest light we've seen at our club for 10 years. But as a kid, he doesn't come across as one of them ones that doesn't give a shit. I think we need to throw the book at him. I'm going to say, if I can't be hypocritical and turn around and say, like loads of people were saying, get Milivojevic out of the team. It's easy for me to say. For me, we've got to just chuck him with the 23s. Yeah. If people are breaking the law and there are people being pulled, I've heard of people today on social media going out for a jog, and they've not turned around and said how far you can go to the government, so you can go local. From here to Chisholm, it's about 2.5 miles. That's local, and then back 5 miles. People have been going 2, 3, 4 miles on their bikes and walking, and been getting pulled over by the police and been getting fines relative to what they earn. 200 or 300 quid fine is going to be at least half, maybe 2/3 of some people's weekly wage. And I'm sorry, but a fine and an apology won't be good enough. It just won't be good enough. I can't turn around and say what's good enough for our captain isn't good enough for some bright spark who's turned up in our team, playing his bits off, and looks to be the future of our club when it looks like he doesn't give a crap. But the thing is, we need someone. What we're not getting within football at the moment is anybody coming out and at the club. Where's the chief exec? Where's the chief executive? Where's the we've got 3 chairmen. Where's any of those chairmen? Where's just a club representative? Where is a club captain? We've got like 5 people that can come out and go, he's been an idiot and we are going to keep this in-house, but you can be rest assured that he will be fined by the club, he will be disciplined by the club, and he will then be treated, but he will then have to be just dealt with by the authorities for breaking the law. But we need to know how he has got into a football league grounds
under COVID restrictions, just because he's an ex-player. He's an ex-player. That's it. Someone's got him tickets. Someone's given him permission. He's travelled there to another borough, different part of London. Just there's a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to be hypocritical because I'll get absolutely caned on social media for this. But if it's good enough for Milivojevic, then I'm afraid it's good enough for him.
Both Ians, I'm coming to you shortly. Ladies and gentlemen in Facebook land, I want to know your views. Are we being hypocritical? Are we being overboard on it? What do you think the sanctions should be on the player, if any? Do you think the club should deal with it in-house? Tell us your views in the chat right now. Ian Noble's watching them for me this evening, okay? I can see them as well, but he'll jump in on anything that's relevant. We'll go Ian Noble first, please.
Yeah, I think the general consensus in the chat is that he should be punished. He should be dropped for the Arsenal game. He should be fined, certainly. The point I was going to make was that it almost makes it worse with Eze because of what happened last week with Luka Milivojevic. There was all the fuss and the social media coverage about Luka, rightly or wrongly about Luka. I'm not going to go there again and cover that one again. But having listened to all of that, what the hell was he doing going to QPR yesterday? That was just a stupid thing to have done. It's crazy. I mean, he must be looking at it now. If he's got any sense, thinking, "Oh shit, I've really messed up here," and he has. So therefore, he has to face the consequences, and the consequences are surely being dropped from the side and fined. And if he comes out and makes a public apology, like Luca did, whether he had his arm twisted or not, whether it was a PR stunt by the club, who knows? But at least he did come out and apologise. That's something. And he wasn't dropped from the side. So, there's a precedent already set there. But I think the point I want to make is that because it's the second offence by a player in as many weeks, it makes it worse. And he should have learned from the mistake that Luca made last week.
No argument for me. Ian Lyons.
Right, okay. Just looking into the chat as well, there are people on the other side of the fence. Andrew Salter, apparently you can have 10 guests in a director's box under the rules. Well, that may be the case, but from another club, this is...
From another postcode?
Right, exactly. Right, so Michael Montgomery, yes, fine him, but don't shoot ourselves in the foot. I think
here we go. The hypocritical side of the road-tinted fucking glass.
Listen, I'm just reading...
let someone else have a say.
Everyone has a right to what they think. I don't necessarily agree with that because, again, I agree with what you're saying, Joel, because, we're just making excuses for people then. Mark Drew, football thinks it's above the law, fair enough. But, for me, I agree with Ian. Following Luca, just what was the guy thinking? But again, what was the director of QPR thinking, was going to happen? It's just... They've just set him up for a fail, and unfortunately, he has to pay the price. There cannot be any hypocrisy in this. And for someone like David Moyes to come out and say, "Stop making footballers the devils in this," you just think, well, they're in the public eye. They can't have one thing for them and one rule for everyone else. We're all in this together.
Joe, I'm going to ask you a question. I mean, with all these.
I want to go on to this still. So I used to have my own company. I used to have people to work for me, and I always used to say, look, if you turn up stinking of drink, turn up high on drugs, turn up just smoking, smelling of smoke, you can't work for me. It's as simple as that. Now, that's a prerequisite with me. Whenever I used to get someone to come and work for me or work with me, that still is to this day is a prerequisite. It's as simple as that. Now, I can't believe that Parish is one of the owners of our football club, that he only really has to answer for about 30 people. When it comes to the under 23s, some of them, and the younger teams, they've got their own. They've got their own people that will keep them in check. But I cannot believe that Parish has not literally just made a phone call to all of them and gone, look, the times we're living in, please don't embarrass. Firstly, don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass my football club. Be on your best behaviour. You're still able to play football. You're on lockdown when it comes to your house, but you're in a bubble. And if you come to training, you're out of the house for 4 days a week. You have a complete freedom in an absolutely, almost germ-free. You're up there being given jabs. You're up there being given tests daily. You're tests, not tests. And and I'm just, but what I'm saying is they are living a life more comfortable and more privileged than any single, this whatever amount of someone do the maths of say 25 times 20 teams, 500 players in the Premier League, plus all the people that go with it. They're living an absolute privileged society at the moment, a separate society than normal living society. For them to literally flagrantly, and again, I read again, Mendy has gone and done the same thing twice in 2 weeks. Like, I don't know where it stops. I don't know where the hypocrisy.
Can I come in, Jel? Laurie Scott makes a really good point in the chat, and I was thinking of this just as you were ranting again there, Jel. It does smack of a lack of management at the club. You do wonder what Roy and the management of the club said to the players after the Luca incident. Did he get them all in a room and say, for goodness sake, guys, don't let yourself down, don't let the club down, be on your best behaviour, as Joe was just saying. We don't know whether he did or whether he didn't, but if he did, it makes it even worse because Eze wasn't listening.
You just set up a Zoom conference, can't you, between all the players? Go, if you ain't got Zoom, get your wife to sort it out. Get your girlfriend, get your mum.
It's not hard, is it? It's not hard.
It's not hard at all.
Listen,
it's not hard.
Following on from what you boys are saying as well, these are privileged people. These are people that there are people being furloughed. There are people that,
starving now that wouldn't have normally had no money.
But people are struggling. And these players have the means to remain indoors and comfortable and on a daily basis are outdoors training with their mates, socialising, and yet they still feel the need to break the rules.
I've been out 3 days in 21 days. That was once when I had to go and get all my tools and work and 2 COVID tests. It literally makes me sick. I am absolutely fuming.
I think we all feel the same way.
Okay, well, I'm going to go to the bigger picture then, boys, okay? And everybody else out in Facebook land. Where are we at with your thoughts on football as a whole continuing? Okay, so we know that we've now exceeded 80,000 deaths. We know that there was, I don't know what it was, another 1,000 deaths yesterday and so on and so forth. We know that the more positive tests are going on in the clubs at all times. Just look at Derby yesterday, fielding a bunch of kids and obviously suffering the price for it. Where are we? But where are we as a society, a football community, as to where we should be? Should we even be? So I'm going to throw this out to everybody. Somebody respond, please. Should we even be playing the game now? Think of people's mental health as well, but should we go for it, guys?
I think the mental health thing is a really important point. I think one of the reasons elite sport has continued is because they know that people's mental health has been adversely affected by lockdown and being unable to leave their home for any length of period and the rest of it. And just to be able to watch a team on TV is a respite, whether they're good, bad or indifferent. You want to watch your team play. So I think that's a really important reason why elite sport has been able to continue. On the other hand, you're looking at these players in their bubbles, their huge bubbles, the way they congratulate each other, goal celebrations. There's no social distancing at all, is there? And people that don't get football are going, what's this about? Why is this allowed to continue? So I think there's 2 camps really: those that are into their football and those that aren't. It's as simple as that, really.
Other guys, go for it.
Joe, go
on. I'm just flummoxed by the whole situation. Just about the lack of moral courage and the moral direction of just some people. And again, it's just an indictment of just read social media, and you see the people that think it's all a giant hoax. There's only 3 of us in our house, and sporadically we've all my son's got it. He's just finished with it. My wife had it last week, and I had it all over Christmas. So believe me, that I think a lot of the people that actually think that this is either a hoax or not as serious as what you know, I've had flu a few times and had it bad. What we used to jokingly call man flu. And you go, I can't get out of bed on that. And, you know, very rare for me to not go to work. But believe me, it is the strangest thing ever to not be able to smell nothing and to taste nothing. I don't eat vegetables, but just I ate tasted half a sprout that my missus left on her plate when I was not very well. And I couldn't taste it, and that would physically make me chuck my ring up. But I can assure you, this is so serious.
What an image!
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bit harsh on Lisa's cooking as well. To be fair,
I quite like sprouts. Well, I used to anyway.
Yeah, but just that literally, like I said, getting onto a serious point, the lack of moral courage and moral direction of people is just, it's getting worse, and it starts to separate, you know, where people say about Premier League footballers earning life-changing money on a yearly basis compared to what most people earn in a lifetime. And then they put themselves, you know, there's multiple players now that are putting themselves and other people into danger and causing mayhem behind the scenes. You know, they literally, you know, it's the old adage of the woman said, I've never had an accident ever. I've seen loads in my mirror. And you know, it's what they're doing. They're going out and they're leaving everything behind them. You know, I don't. All the people, all the naysayers and the deniers. I'm seriously, until you've had it, then it isn't very nice. I'm lucky. I've only got diabetes, and it hasn't really affected me massively. Apart from, but anyway, if the club don't act very, very soon, the people distancing themselves, not just from football, but from footballers and from football clubs, will just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I mean, following on from your question, Nick, about whether or not it should be stopped. You know, Paul McNamara says, imagine if a player dies, God forbid, but it's possible. But, you know, these guys should be. Project Restart, as I think I just saw Laurie say, you know, has given them every chance, every possibility, certainly far more protection than those in the front line in the NHS, you know, even in supermarkets, at tills or whatever. These guys have been given everything, and yet they're still messing it up. You know, they're still thinking of themselves. If people were to stop, and I could potentially see it happening, you know, if we get many more cases, then as Rob Donovan rightly puts out in the chat, you know, you've got the flip side of the coin. You've got all the mental health issues, you know, the not having this is a release for us. I mean, for Christ's sake, I'm watching Newport versus Brighton while the game's on, you know, because I need to watch football. It's an escape. And if they mess it up for the population, the odd player, God forbid, should they die, could theoretically, on the flip side, result in many, many more deaths through mental health stuff and everything else. So I think such a myopic view. And whilst there is a certain relevancy and validity to it, I think the bigger picture is that they are being handed everything on a plate. They're tested 2 or 3 times a week. You know, they've got people waiting on them, hand and feet. You know, they're sanitized. You know, they're given every opportunity to make this work, and yet all they can do is think about themselves, and they're being paid ridiculous amounts of money in the process. Quickly going back to the Villa thing, I think no club should be allowed to postpone the game as a result of COVID tests. Because somewhere along the line, that's a responsibility of someone within that club that has allowed the COVID to get in, and you know, and no one's going to admit to it. And you know, COVID suddenly doesn't just appear from nowhere. It relies on people and idiocy to actually not follow the protocols that they are privileged to have in order to get it. So well done to Villa, well done to the likes of Derby as well.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, it cost Derby their place in the cup, but fair play and well done to them. But the league should make an example of clubs moving forward and say, no, sorry, Man City, how the hell can they postpone a game? You know, when they've got 40 odd players, 50 odd on bloody loan. It's ridiculous. Anyway, ran over. That was a Jel rant.
Right. While I'm waiting for Jel to come back in, and he's there, he's just coming back on. Rob Donovan said in the chat, people are out in the streets despite all the lockdown. If football stops, maybe it'll help reinforce the message on how bloody serious this is. And on a private note, okay, Jel, I'm coming to you right now, okay? The one thing that annoyed me about the Eze thing, which is what we're still talking about, is the fact that he was pictured sitting there, and Gel's dropped off again. He was pictured sitting there with no mask on. I've closed the show every week for the last, 6 weeks. Wear your mask, wear your mask. I see it all day, every day. Idiots trying to get on my bus with no mask on, and they're not wearing a mask. And for that highly paid individual to sit in the stands at QPR yesterday, wrong postcode, probably drove over there with one of his mates, okay, not socially distancing properly, not wearing a face mask. I'm sorry, but I've had it. Jill.
Just very quickly as well with this footballer thing, whenever they just flagrantly break the rules whenever they want, I'm sure just in their head some of them are going, all we'll have to do is just go get my agent to write an apology for me, stick it, give it to the club, the press officer release it, and then that's it. I mean, that's it. They literally don't. Luca has not gone onto Twitter, onto his Twitter feed or anything, and done a live message. Has he done that? Has he done it on the Palace?
No, the club made the comment for him, didn't they?
The club issued it.
I'll be interested to see his programme notes, though. See if he says anything in his next programme notes. I bet he doesn't.
Well, I hope he's not playing.
No, but he will be, won't he? He will be.
Luca will be.
Yeah, well, so we might as well let Izzy then, and then
what? Well, that's what I said earlier. That's the point.
But it comes back to what Laurie was saying about Roy and the management.
Yeah.
You know, there really needs to be now. You know, that is it. You've all been given a warning. You know, as a result of Luca, and this is what all four of us are saying. That is it.
Let me just take. So last season, Everton were pretty crap. And I think last season or season before, where Duncan Ferguson came in took over for a little while. I think it was last season.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And
Joel.
Joel,
we're going to have to wait to hear what happened to Everton last season.
Joel, do me a favour, mate. Move
in
inside.
Next week's instalment.
Joel, that's the third time you dropped off, mate. Move inside, please, mate.
Nick, can we talk about the Wolves game, mate? I think we've done it today, haven't we?
Do you know what? Let's talk about the Wolves game. So, okay. Jel, mute your microphone. Jel, mute your microphone.
I can't hear him.
I can't hear him.
I can hear him moving. There you go.
I can't hear him.
And it's stopped. Right. So, first of all, we're going to talk about the Wolves game, if you don't mind, but we're going to talk about the starting lineup, if you don't. And this is where we're going to kick off, because I actually thought, when I first heard the starting lineup, guys, I actually got quite excited for a change. On a positive note, Butland, Klein, Tompkins, Sacco, Van Aanholt, Ayew, Riedewald, McCarthy. Yeah, right, McCarthy. But the front three of Eze, Batshuayi, and Benteke, and with those three, I couldn't believe that he played Batshuayi and Benteke up top, which is what basically the formation that he's playing. There is some real dodgy old noises going on. Can none of you hear it?
No, not a thing. Just you.
I know. I can. I'll tell you 100%.
It's not your stomach, is it, or your colostomy?
It's Holyoke in the background, because I can even hear him laughing.
Is he rustling in the bushes again?
Rustling.
Right, Tim, can you bring Jel back on, please? Okay, because I can hear him rustling around. So,
Rob Donovan said the next time Joel goes off, can we do the East Inter?
We don't come back on again. Tim,
yeah, well, there you go. Until next week.
Tim, please bring Joel back on. And you're saying in the chat he's not there. He is there. I can hear it. So he is there. So anyway, that lineup. I don't know about.
I agree. I agree with you, Nick. I thought the lineup was good. I thought it was decent. I said so at the time before the game kicked off. I think it's fairly clear, and looking at the chat down on my right hand side, most people would agree with us that it wasn't a great game at all. We didn't play well. We didn't even have a shot on target in 90 minutes. and that was disappointing. But going back to the starting 11, I thought it was a decent selection. You know, we've been crying out for a Riedewald and McCarthy to get starts, maybe Batshuayi as well. Butland obviously came in to make his debut, and I thought it was an all right team selection. I really did. And I think they let themselves down. I think with the exception of Butland in goal and Jordan Ayew, I thought had a very good game. I thought we played awful. You know, it was sideways, it was backwards, there was no penetration. And, you know, how can you go through 90 minutes without having a shot on target? That you're not going to score, are you? It's as simple as that.
Well, we do it on a regular basis, don't we?
But we did come up against a decent Wolves side. You know, apart from their goalkeeper, they made very few changes. They really wanted this, arguably more than we did, and they got a really good goal. And you can't begrudge them that. Ironically, it was Eze, I think, that was at fault. He was miles away from his man. Riedewald at the time as well, found wanting a little bit there. So, yeah, for me, put it behind us, move on. But shame, really, because I like a cup run. But who wants to win the cup in front of an empty stadium? Not me, anyway.
Exactly. Ian Lyons. John, comes to you next.
Right, yeah, no, I said to you the other day, or earlier, that I was going to be positive. You know, it's positive that that I think we had a relatively strong second team. You know, 9 changes. I think it was positive that in the way that Wolves approached the game. I thought Wolves were fantastic, shut us down every time. I thought it was positive that Tompkins got through 2 games in a row without getting injured. I thought it was positive that McCarthy actually played, you know, and Roy then another positive. Roy tried to change his system after being 1-0 down. You know, and the final positive is we're out the bloody cup because, you know, at the end of the day, Roy set us up not to be positive. Roy set us up to be certainly defensive and counter-attack. Poor Gyro, whenever he got the ball, everyone was behind him. So all he could do was pass it sideways and backwards, you know. Or when we got the ball, all PVA apparently did, and from what I saw on the highlights, was just lump it aimlessly forward until Mitchell came on, and then he got into the game a bit more. I agree from what I saw that is that Ayew actually looked to play well. Batshuayi looks completely off the pace. He lost the ball a lot. You know, it was just a game to forget. But listen, and another point, and one more positive from me. Butland looked to have a good game. He looked at the couple of stuff. I don't think you could really blame him for that, although I'm sure someone in the chat will at some stage say Hennessy would have saved it. But it was past him before he even saw it. Yeah, I agree that Eze could have done more. You know, but PVA was completely out of the picture at that point as well. But yeah, listen, let's just move on. It's just one of those. When we got Wolves, you just knew, oh, here we go. And we clearly played the second string. So Roy is not giving it his full attention. He is concentrating on the league.
But each one of those players could force their way into a Premier League starting 11. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah,
no. Not
well,
any Premier League.
No, our team, our starting 11.
Oh.
Each one of those players wouldn't look necessarily out of place in a Premier League starting 11. I think.
Yeah, but not 9 in one go though. That's the problem.
No, I agree. But I think our strength in depth has never been better. You know, we've got a player in every position.
Yeah, but we just don't. We just don't have a manager that knows how to use them.
Well, you say that, but okay, Joe, I want to ask you about Batshuayi. He looks like a spent force to me, a bit like Benteke did for the last 4 seasons. Does he go back to Chelsea in this window?
Can't blame him, can you? He comes to us on loan. You would think that he'd be in front of Ayew, and what's he done? He's just sat on his hands as a substitute for most of the season.
He looks sharp, doesn't he?
I'd have to write something if I'd made the effort to leave my club to come over and help you out, and you didn't play. It just all this smacks of is of if he don't fancy you, he ain't going to play. So it don't matter whether you come to the club via him for him himself, or whether you come to him via the director of football, Friedman, or through if Paris just goes, oh, I want to buy this player, and then just gives him to him. If he ain't going to play him, he ain't going to play him. Simple as that. I mean, Maya can't get into our squad in front of, let's just say, in front of Jordan Ayew, who cost £2 million, right? That's disgraceful for me. And then what he does is he goes, well, we've used Jordan Ayew for ages up front, and he did well for us last year, top scorer, but he puts him out on the wing. No, don't put him out on the wing. Put Andros Townsend. He's a better winger than Jordan Ayew. But he sticks Jordan Ayew out on the wing, and then he sticks Andros Townsend on the bench. I have literally had it up to, I'm not even going to say up to here, up to gone, get out of my club. He might be the nicest geezer ever, and he might come from Croydon, and he might be a Palace fan, but we need to stop romanticising. Parish needs to stop romanticising this thing with every. I know you can huffy, but I'm allowed to have my say.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
But what I'm saying, if his the objects of him is just to keep us in the Premier League and just make us become the dullards of the Premier League, then I would rather us go back down to the Championship and rebuild with our kids.
Okay,
Do you know what the great
We'll go there.
Hold on.
The great irony is that people like Eze and Luca could potentially bring COVID into the club, and the poor sod will end up getting COVID, and then that'll be the way he leaves the club.
Right. Okay, leave that to one
That's
side.
not even funny, but I laughed.
Ian Noble. Okay,
Yeah.
I want a counter argument from you because you clearly disagree with what Jel said.
No, I'm not disagreeing wholeheartedly with what Jill says. I mean, I'm not in the Roy in camp or Roy out camp. I'm not sure what I am anymore in terms of Roy. I think clearly he's done an awful lot for this football club in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah,
he's stabilised us. He's kept us in the Premier League. When we looked, that season when Frank de Boer started and we lost 7 games without scoring a goal. I mean, that was truly the pits, wasn't it? I mean, I went to every single one of those games. It was bloody awful. And so he stabilised us. And he, look, we've already said this evening, he made some changes in the game to try and get us back in the game at Wolves. They didn't work. What frustrates me is when he says things like, the crosses into the box are almost as good as shots on target. No, they're not, Roy, and I just wonder whether he's lost the plot a little bit and he's not got that cutting edge. He clearly had some cutting edge at some point because he's had such an illustrious managerial career. But I do want to see a change now. Whether now is the time or whether the end of the season is the time, I think it's going to be at the end of the season. I don't think we'll see him go now. I think it will be the summer. But I do think it's important that we do have that change. And what Steve Parish should be doing now is being proactive and getting that manager lined up. And I suspect, because he's without portfolio at the moment, and he's got experience of managing in the Premier League, it will be Eddie Howe, whether we like that or not. The other one that we could go for is Sean Dyche, because he's got that experience. And I think, having been at Burnley for about 8 years, he might just see Palace as a fresh challenge, something, maybe a bit more money to spend, a bit more glamorous in the capital and all the rest of it. But he's got to get that manager lined up so that Roy can walk away with his head held high in the summer. That's my take on it.
Okay, well, thank you for that. But Jel, you're now. Okay, but I just disagree with what Ian just said because Sean Dyche has never had any backing financially by his board. They've just been taken over with multi-zillionaires. He's going to get a bucket full of funds to invest in the squad next season. That ain't going to happen, Jel.
Roy will walk away from our club with his head held high, no matter what, because of what he's done for the club, keeping us in the Premier League. It's the manner of keeping us in the Premier League. But you see, this is the thing. We have always liked, as Palace fans, like to have a cup run. We've only been to 3 finals. The chances of getting to Wembley 3 times is SDS and 2 FA Cup finals. Before that, we've had a few flirts with the 5th round, and that's always exciting. But for the last 2 years, I just kind of called it the League Cup and the FA Cup, we have gone out 4 times without scoring a goal. We set up against Derby.
Great stat.
The way we played Derby. Who was the low? I was at the game. I can't remember who the lower league team we went out to last year in the League Cup at home.
Colchester.
On penalties. Was it on penalties?
Yeah, 0-0 again.
I mean, like literally. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but we should not be losing against to Colchester at home. We probably shouldn't have lost against Derby. But I'm just, I don't know. And again, this is the thing that I keep banging on about it. I don't think a 73-year-old can motivate, or let's go, a 66-year-old can motivate players like Eze and Tariq Mitchell and Wolf Zaha, some of the younger players. I don't think he can do that. I never hear him screaming and shouting. He leaves that to Ray. And I really don't know. I don't know. You could hear Ray against Wolves going, go forward, but there was no one to pass forward to because we've been set up so defensively. It was like you've already alluded to that. So, but for me, and again, I don't know who. I literally say to me, "Who do you want?" And I don't know. I mean, the only one that I really I thought that could have taken it. Because of his big club experience, but also when he bought Southampton through was Pochettino, but now he's in the Bundesliga. I still refuse to believe that they pay more money than us, so he's gone there purely because they're a big name, because we pay as much. If we were to get rid of, which I think we're going to, 2 or 3 of our big name players are going to leave and go, we could have freed up wages enough to keep him here. But, it's whether he would have got the backing or not. He never got huge backing at Spurs, but there you go. But I really don't know. I don't know who to come in. Dyche maybe, but I will put this caveat in. If Dyche comes in, I hope he brings Chris Wood with him.
I think Parish will look to that Frank de Boer debacle and say he cannot bring a young manager in that has not got Premier League experience. People are saying in the chat the Brentford manager, maybe that's an exception, but he's got to look at someone with some kind of Premier League experience.
Look at Bielsa. Look at Bielsa at the moment.
Well, I think Bielsa's bubble could burst any time, couldn't it? If he hasn't already,
He's supposed to be one of the best managers in the world, respected by everybody worldwide. I think he'll disappear off to Spain, where it's a bit slower and where he can,
Can't even speak the language, can he?
He hasn't even. I don't think he's even learned. But I mean,
he can speak it. He just doesn't want to.
Well, that's not up. I think that's rude myself. I went to work in Spain. I've learned Spanish, but
George Wagner's also saying Marco Silva as well, but I'm not too sure about him. Okay, so
definitely not Marco Silva.
What you're saying,
George,
he's right about the Premier League experience. I think you do need Premier League experience, but the thing is, the amount of managers that are floating about that we could attract, and also the amount of foreign managers that have come into the Premier or been in the Premier League and gone back out, are generally managed Man City.
Which is why I come back to Eddie Howe, because he hasn't got a job at the moment. And actually, when you look at what he did with Bournemouth, it wasn't too shabby, really.
No, it wasn't. And the only thing I will say is that from what I'm aware of, is that Eddie Howe turned us down when Parish first took over. He wanted to go to Burnley instead of us, and there's no way that Burnley will ever be a bigger club than a bigger step than us. It was always going to be a sideways step.
I think Eddie Howe struggles with big names. I think he's very good at moulding Championship players, League One players, or young players. But I think he will struggle with dealing with big egos.
Maybe you're right.
He might be. The thing is, he's young enough to fight them, though, isn't he?
So moving on, Wolverhampton Wanderers beat Palace to reach the 4th round of the FA Cup with a special goal from a special player, says Nuno Espirito Santo. Adama Traore's scorching left-foot drive was decisive for the host against a much-changed Palace side. Prior to his strike from the edge of the box, the Spain winger had not scored for Wolves since the 20th of February 2020. There you go. And same old. If you need a goal, give Palace a shout. They'll help you out. Palace who have made 9 changes for the Premier League side that won over Sheffield United, didn't have a single shot on target. The Eagles manager, Roy Hodgson, cut a despondent figure in his technical area as he watched his side barely venture out of their own half during the first period dominated by Wolves. While Palace improved after the break, Wilfred Zaha and Andros Townsend were unable to retrieve the situation after being introduced as late substitutes. I thought in the second half we had quite a lot of control Well, we were a goal down to an incredible strike, said England boss Hodgson. No shit, Sherlock. We had suffered a few of those in recent weeks. It means Wolves could sit back and defend, and they did it well. Well, I mean, one word, tactics. Whose tactics are they? They're yours, man. They're yours. Change the damn tactics. I know you're tempted to. But
I think he tried to, didn't he? I think he tried to change the tactics. I think with hindsight, we said that the team selection was okay and we were happy with it. But with hindsight, he should have started Wilf, shouldn't he? Because we all know that Wilf is the one player that they would have been shit scared of. I've got a Wolves mate who I tweet a lot, and he said to me before kickoff, "So pleased that Zaha's not playing." So that's an opposition view of it.
But doesn't that just show you he wasn't interested in it anyway?
Yeah,
because he made 9 changes. 9. Why not play Scott Banks?
Well, I agree with that. Yeah, why not?
Gel's about to say the same thing.
Let me come in. So we've made 9 changes.
Gel's forever taking my stuff.
Go on then. Go on. Come on, Sulky. Go on.
No, that's it. I've had enough.
Yoda's back.
If you're going to make 9 changes and completely ignore your entire academy, you've got to go. Look at Spurs though. No, it was against like lower
Marine
even.
Marine.
But you can't make that comparison. You can't.
No. Really, I'll tell you why I can. Because the kid that scored one of the Spurs goals,
he was 16.
Now you can't tell me that we don't have a 20. What have we just?
Gel.
3 forwards out on loan.
Gel.
16-year-old
If Tottenham had played Wolves in the 3rd round, that 16-year-old wouldn't have got anywhere near the team.
If you're thinking about going out the cup and not worrying about it, well, just play them. And everyone goes, look at that.
I agree that Scott Banks should have got a look in, at least on the bench. Put him on the bench.
Scott Banks is supposed to be the winger, one of the best wingers in Scotland.
Right, I've got a couple of questions for you, boys. Joan Wells in the chat. Good evening, Joan. I hope you are well. I think this is aimed really in your direction, Jel, so I'm going to let you respond to it first. You keep on about the board who make the decisions. Who makes the decisions other than Parish? Do the others actually have an input into the main decision making within the club?
Well, they own. I mean, they all own an equal third that make up a certain percentage, and then we know that there's that massive other percentage out in America owned by 700 or 800 people and a few other people, with Browett still owning a bit, and whoever the rest of the C2010 guys. But I mean, ultimately, those 3 guys own the majority share, and I would have thought that if the 2 Americans went to Parish and went, "This is not good enough. We need to be." I just can't believe, unless literally, as what I suspected when this first happened, and I said this ages ago, is that they just literally seen it as an investment, and every single year we're in the Premier League, as long as we're in the Premier League, they don't really care. It took the Glaziers like 4 years or 5 years to be interested in anything that Man United did, and when they sussed out that all you need to do is buy Paul Pogba, because the amount of shirts you'll sell with his name on it will pay for his the whole signing on fee brand worldwide. We don't have that, so I just think that the club are just satisfied that we're just in the Premier League every year with no ambition. The only ambition that they're showing, it's plain to see, is that they're still talking about this new stand. But and as you know yourself, Ian Lyons, the stuff that we've seen, that we know about, 150 million quid. Ain't getting built at all. I'm telling you now, 2030, we'll still be rowing about it between ourselves. It'll be anybody of any age. You'll know this, Ian Noble. Do you remember going into the players' entrance and seeing that football stadium that Ron Nodes had made up that looked like a burnt-out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what happened with that? I'd love to see where that is. It's probably at Novello's house or in the back of her shed now. Nothing ever gets done. He built that stands that the the home style, and he built it so badly, as your brother knows, Ian. You know, it's just everything on our club is just cheap. It's always cheap. It's Croydon cheap. It makes me sick. I don't know what to say anymore.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll
speak this on every single level.
Right. Okay. Well, I've got a quick little question for you. Apparently, in the press today, we have been linked with a certain Newcastle striker, a little short guy that we all know pretty well, Gale.
No.
Would any of you consider taking Gale back on loan for the rest of the season?
No, he won't get any service. He plays on the shoulder of the last man, just like Benteke does, just like Batshuayi does, but they never get any service. I say this week after week after week. The 2 games we gave the striker service, he scored goals.
I wouldn't take him. I don't think. No.
I think those days are gone. Okay.
I don't think to take someone, they've got to be forcing their way into the starting 11. They might not start every week, but they've got to be a kind of player that you're going to bring on, give 30 minutes to most games. You're not going to do that with Dwight Gale, are you? I don't think so.
I mean, I think, George, in answer to your question, is Dwight Gale better than Michy Batshuayi? No, he's not. Of course, he's not. So, I mean, he's probably just about on par with Jordan Ayew, I'd say. But
No.
But he's not even playing regularly up there. So
he's a better striker than Ayew by miles.
Right, Ian Noble, I'm going to ask you a question. I know we've touched on these a little bit during the course of the chat, but was the double substitution against Wolves just because of the rules for the FA Cup match? Each team can make changes during 3 time slots, or has Roy finally seen the light? Because if you remember, he also made his substitutions on 69 minutes, not 70 minutes, which he normally does, 70 minutes and beyond that he normally does.
Do I think it's because it was the FA Cup? I'm not sure Roy thought about it that much, to be honest with you. I'm just looking at it now, looking at the team selection. Bear with me. So all I will say was it was good to see him make some changes when we were chasing the game. I'd rather he do that than not. And
valid.
Yeah, Zaha, Mitchell at left back, PVA further forward. I think I would have taken PVA off mine, brought someone else on. Townsend on earlier, probably. And why he thought he should leave PVA on the pitch is beyond me, frankly. And if we had a half decent offer for PVA, we should accept it because I think he's surplus to requirements. Really, he doesn't get in ahead of Mitchell anymore. And if he is selected ahead of Mitchell, I'll be absolutely mad on Thursday night because Mitchell is a far better fullback and a defender, and I think he's going to improve going forward all the time. He's young, he's learning the game. PVA's been a good servant, but if we get a decent offer, he should go, in my book. I'll tell you, going back to Newcastle, I'll tell you who we have been linked with, that Kieran Clark, centre-back. Now, he looks decent. I don't know why he would want to leave Newcastle and come to us, but we have been linked with him, apparently.
Well, I mean, Gel's been on the case about a young centre-back for ages. I mean, I would, again... I would go to look at our academy under 23s. Why aren't we starting to blood people through? So Roy is only going to go if Roy is in charge. Roy is only going to go for someone in his late 20s, early 30s that's got experience. Right? Let's not beat about the bush. Anyone that's under 30 that we buy as a part just isn't getting a look in.
Well, someone just said in the chat about Nathan Ferguson. I think he's still injured, Joanne. I think he's still injured.
He's on his way back, isn't he? So,
and I think he is the longer-term right-back solution because the boy was supposed to be quite good when he at West Brom. So,
yeah, I agree with what you're saying about Mitchell, though, because that clearly is why we didn't start from the Wolves game.
Yeah,
it's because Roy sees him as being his first choice at left back. What made me laugh is that Jel and I in the past have been saying PVA is actually better as a left winger. He shoves him left wing and puts Mitchell behind him, and all of a sudden PVA just turns up in the middle of the park on right wing. What is going on?
I was just going to say that all of a sudden we generally have 4 midfielders, mostly defensive midfielders on the bench every week, and then he puts PVA in the centre. What an absolute waste of time that was. Literally, we should have just put a cat on there and everyone would have gone, oh, cat. Oh, they had a good laugh about it, and it would have just took away the pain of an absolutely miserable, uninspired, just literally another painful performance by Palace. And like you, Ian, I've got a mate who's a Wolves fan, really comes from the Black Country, and he said to me, text me straight away. Well, he texted me the day before I put it on Twitter. He said 3-0. Traore scored the first goal, and Control, I think whatever it was, would score the third goal. And on whatever it was, whenever they scored the goal, and I was like, oh, well, here's the first goal. And he said they would, and we didn't look like we were in that game. And the other thing as well is that by the time Wilf come on, they were bossing us, and it was a game that Wilf couldn't really turn around.
No, he didn't have enough time to.
Oh, he didn't.
No.
He needs to.
I'm surprised he came on. If seriously, on the subject of Will Zaha, I was actually surprised that he came on at all. Because doesn't that cup tie in from any future FA Cup game if he gets sold?
Oh yeah,
that's a very good shout. Actually, I didn't even consider that.
Who's that?
I don't think he's going to an English club. He won't go to an English club. I don't think we're selling this window anyway.
If Zaha gets sold, Joe, he's just cup tied. They've just cup tied him. Also, changing the subject, Luke Cooper in the chat has just reminded me of something. Boys, are you aware that the Crystal Palace Facebook page got hacked this week? Okay, and it got hacked most days with the words, "Where is Cardo? Where is Cardo?" I don't know if any of you saw it, but yeah,
I saw that come up on the chat, but I didn't understand. Was it as in Carlo Nash?
No, Cardo, Cardo. Cardo.
What's that mean?
I don't know. It's a figure, but I mean, every. I mean, I've been posting red and blue review stuff on there. Okay, just as like links to our page, but some.
You mean you've been spamming their account?
I have, but somebody's actually got hold of it and actually got hold of it properly. I mean, it's just so typical Crystal Palace Football Club that even their Facebook account gets hacked. They can't do anything correctly, can they? Well, but it did make me laugh. And Matthew Luke is in the chat saying, Bright Asu Samuel is another one that's worth looking at. I think he's the mate of Eze's, and it was probably who he was sitting next to in the stand yesterday, mate.
Yeah, well, I turned it on, I saw the extra time, and I was looking forward to watching the boy, but they took him off for extra time.
Boys, do you know what? I think we'll draw a line under that. So coming up this week, boys and girls, don't forget, this week, Thursday, kick-off Thursday, the 14th of January, 8 o'clock is our away fixture at the Emirates against Arsenal. Shame we're not there to wake everybody up in the stadium, but it's a Thursday night game that until the show started, I hadn't even realised that. And Ian, I know you just alluded to it. So we will be back on Sunday, no doubt. We
won't be. Nick, let me come in. We won't be back next Sunday because we play Man City, 7:15 kickoff next Sunday. Arsenal away Thursday night, Man City on Sunday night.
Now there is an even better shout. Thank you, mate, for that, because he's quite right. So we'll do a double header on Monday or Tuesday.
Nick will be back here.
Yeah, you can talk to yourself. We'll be watching the game.
Wouldn't it be fun if we actually did a watch along? Oh no, we wouldn't want to do that.
No one does that, do they? They never will.
How 1970s is that? Anyway, right. Listen, in the background, Nigel Croucher, Tom Clark Samuel, and everybody else in the background. Tim Richards down in New Zealand producing once again for us. Ian Lyons, Ian Noble, Joe Holyoke. Thank you, boys, for making this so entertaining. I do love a row, and you gave us a row live on air, boys. It's what makes the show. Everybody loves a rant, okay, and you've all contributed to the rant. Ladies and gentlemen, please be safe. You know what's coming next. It is wear your damn mask. Please stay safe. Wheel the oldies into the hospitals to get their jabs, and we'll be coming up. I'll be coming up right behind. On behalf of myself, Nick Philpott, please take care. God bless. Love you all. Up the Palace. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching.